In this video, I wanted to discuss some of my experiences with cannabis. I had just finished watching a video called Weed and noticed that I had not done any on cannabis yet, so I may as well complete my summary of my entheogens. Now, I do regard cannabis as an entheogen as it changes the state of consciousness. Although I have not been a big user of cannabis, even with that, I only use it occasionally to get to a deeper meditation, probably twice a month or so, and that's only been recently. I will start with one of my first cannabis experiences, as it was unique, in that it was a pretty good dose, although I had taken it before and was used to some of the effects that it had, though I was able to function fairly well. But in this case, I was with a friend, and she provided the cannabis. And what it led to was the normal kind of out-of-time sequence I feel on cannabis. Somewhat like a short-term memory is not quite there. But the way I look at it now is that cannabis focuses the attention of the self in the now, and it seems like you're waking up in the now, and the moment before was a little farther away than it would be under normal waking circumstances in the flow of time. Well, in this instance, what that led to was, as I would get a thought, I had very little inhibitions about speaking about it, to the point where I would be speaking about it, and more or less hearing myself speak about it in the second hand. And this led to some insightful conversations, because it got the ego self that normally filters out how I create a conversation out of the way, and just letting the thought come through. Now, I'm not a big advocate of channeling, and I wouldn't say that this was channeling in a sense, but if I would put it into that classification, I would have to say it was channeling myself. But with all channelings or any information coming this way, I put it through the filters of rational thought. Was there any information that was insightful? Was it true? Did it give me any information I would not have otherwise known? Now, in that situation, I also had an incident where I kind of got what my friend was thinking and about to say just slightly before she said it. Again, I need more proof for anything to say about it in a rational sense. Now, as for my normal use of cannabis now, basically alone, when I lay down and meditate deeply, I use it to get that sense of self. And since I'm concentrating in the moment of that time, cannabis helps me get that deeper sense. It also allows thoughts to flow more freely, and I can examine them and see how the mind is working in that regard. Just to me, it's for meditation and a deeper knowing of myself, that I can almost touch that inner being that is aware. As far as cannabis use on a regular basis, I leave that each to everyone's own discretion. There are obviously some good things about cannabis use, both physically, medically, and even working with problems. But as with everything, humans tend to do some stupid things. Now, because cannabis use was so late in my life, I was pretty mature about this and still believe I am. But with everything, there is going to be some abuse. It's just inevitable. But as far as the drugs go today, it's much better than something like alcohol. And I believe that it should be legalized and perhaps regulated somewhat like alcohol. You shouldn't drive on cannabis, or generally do something else that you would do when you were drinking. It shouldn't necessarily be used by young people, though there is a real, true medical use for cannabis. And more studies should be done, and more opportunities should be made to find out what it can do. So in the case of this medical application of cannabis, I am greatly in favor of it. And in the case of using it as an entheogen, or as a self-medication for other problems you may have where it does seem to help, even for the fact of creativity, I am glad to see that slowly some of the restraints in this country and the insanity on the war on drugs is starting to lift and lighten up with some reasonable use of some of these things. If you are still of the mindset that cannabis, marijuana, is just a drug that leads into deeper and darker things, I just ask that you keep a biased opinion to yourselves and stop wanting to enforce your morals upon everyone else. Yes, it may have a dark side, but then again, not as dark as alcohol. Thank you.